Global weather news, major heat wave and Atlantic storm update. Good evening and welcome to Global Weather Watch. Thank you for joining us as we track a rapidly changing weather pattern stretching across the United States and the Atlantic Basin. Over the next few days, we're expecting major shifts, from soaring temperatures in the country's heartland to two tropical systems spinning away into the open Atlantic, while two new areas of concern begin to form right behind them. Across much of the United States, the most immediate story is the intense heat wave that's settling in. This is not just a warm spell. This is a large-scale ridge of high pressure expanding across the central and eastern parts of the country, pushing daytime highs to levels 10 to 20 degrees above average. Cities from Dallas to Chicago, from Atlanta up to Washington, D.C., are all bracing for record or near-record temperatures in the coming days. Meteorologists are calling this one of the strongest October warm-ups in years. Afternoon highs in portions of the plains and Midwest are expected to climb into the upper 90s degree F, with some local readings possibly reaching triple digits. Even overnight lows may remain uncomfortably warm, offering little relief. This kind of sustained heat can strain power grids, heighten wildfire risks, and increase health concerns, especially for the elderly and those with chronic conditions. At the same time, humidity levels will rise, making the heat feel even more oppressive. The combination of heat and moisture is expected to produce dangerous heat indices, what's often referred to as the feels like temperature, approaching or exceeding 105 degrees Fahrenheit in parts of the South and lower Mississippi Valley. Authorities are urging residents to take precautions, stay hydrated, and check on vulnerable neighbors. As we move eastward, the weather picture becomes more dynamic. The heat dome is steering the jet stream northward, allowing for increased instability across the northern tier. Several weak frontal boundaries will interact with warm, moist air, sparking clusters of thunderstorms across the Great Lakes and parts of the Northeast. While these storms aren't expected to be widespread, some could produce heavy downpours and localized flooding, particularly in low-lying or urban areas where the ground is already saturated. Meanwhile, the West continues to experience a contrasting pattern. Cooler Pacific air is filtering into the coastal states, bringing seasonal temperatures and pockets of fog to California's coastal valleys. The Pacific Northwest, especially Washington and Oregon, will see scattered showers as a weak trough dips inland. However, much of the interior West, including Nevada, Utah, and parts of Arizona, will remain dry and warm under persistent high pressure. Now let's shift our attention to the Atlantic Basin, where tropical activity remains lively even as we move deeper into October. Over the past week, two hurricanes, Imelda and Umberto, have been spinning across the western Atlantic. The good news tonight: both systems are now moving away from the United States. Imelda, which reached hurricane strength earlier this week, is curving northeastward over open waters, gradually losing intensity as it encounters cooler sea surface temperatures and higher wind shear. Umberto, on the other hand, has taken a more westerly path before turning north. Satellite imagery shows a well-defined eye, but the system is beginning to interact with a trough over the North Atlantic. That means it's starting its transition from a tropical to a post-tropical storm, still powerful, but no longer purely fueled by warm ocean water. Coastal impacts along the U.S. mainland are expected to be minimal, though higher surf and rip currents will persist along portions of the East Coast for several more days. Mariners are being advised to exercise caution. However, even as these two storms weaken, new disturbances are brewing farther to the south and east. Meteorologists at the National Hurricane Center are closely watching two tropical waves emerging from the western coast of Africa, a region often called the tropical nursery this time of year. One of these systems already shows signs of rotation and could organize into a depression within the next few days as it moves westward across the warm waters of the central Atlantic. Long-range models hint that at least one of these systems might track toward the Caribbean by late next week, though it's far too early to predict any direct land impacts. Still, it's a reminder that hurricane season isn't over yet. Historically, the Atlantic can remain active well into November, and with ocean temperatures running 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above average. Conditions remain favorable for development. Back over the continental U.S., another story to watch is the expanding drought zone across parts of the Midwest and South. Despite some isolated thunderstorms, rainfall totals remain well below normal in states like Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. The U.S. Drought Monitor reports that moderate to severe drought conditions are now affecting over 40% of the region's agricultural land. This not only impacts crop yields but also exacerbates wildfire risks, particularly as temperatures continue to climb. Fire weather alerts are already in effect across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and the Four Corners region, where strong winds and low humidity could quickly turn small brush fires into fast-spreading blazes. Firefighters are urging residents to avoid outdoor burning and to report any signs of smoke immediately. Meanwhile, in the southeast, the combination of high humidity and sea breeze interactions could trigger daily rounds of scattered thunderstorms, the kind that develop rapidly in the afternoon and fade after sunset. These storms may bring brief heavy rain, lightning, and gusty winds, but they'll also help provide localized cooling in an otherwise oppressive heat pattern. Looking farther north, parts of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes will begin to feel the first hints of autumn once the ridge shifts eastward. Cooler air from Canada will filter in, bringing more seasonable temperatures by the middle of next week. However, that cooldown will likely be short-lived as the ridge rebuilds behind it, once again sending temperatures back above average. In Alaska, a series of Pacific systems are marching ashore, bringing heavy rain and strong winds to coastal areas, while interior regions remain relatively calm. Across Canada, much of the country is experiencing a mild October stretch, though early snowfall has been reported in parts of Alberta and the Yukon. Let's talk briefly about global weather patterns. Across Europe, a strong low-pressure system is sweeping through the British Isles and Scandinavia, delivering gusty winds and periods of heavy rain. Central Europe remains unsettled, with scattered showers from France through Germany and Poland. Meanwhile, southern regions, including Spain, Italy, and Greece, are enjoying mostly sunny skies and temperatures several degrees above seasonal norms. In Asia, the monsoon is gradually retreating from India, leaving behind occasional thunderstorms but also paving the way for clearer skies. However, Southeast Asia continues to see scattered downpours, especially over the Philippines and Vietnam, as tropical moisture lingers. Over the western Pacific, a weak tropical disturbance is forming near Micronesia, though current projections suggest it will stay far from major land areas. Australia is also entering a period of shifting patterns. The southern states are experiencing cool, unsettled weather with bursts of rain and wind, while the northern tropics begin to heat up ahead of the coming wet season. Returning to the United States, what does the extended outlook look like? Well, the heat wave dominating the central and eastern regions is expected to persist through much of next week. By next weekend, however, a more significant cold front is forecast to sweep across the northern plains and Midwest, finally bringing some relief. Behind this front, temperatures could drop 15 to 25 degrees compared to the current highs, a dramatic swing that may signal the true arrival of fall for many communities. That same front will also provide a much-needed shot of rain. Showers and thunderstorms could stretch from the Great Lakes down to Texas, potentially bringing temporary relief to drought-stricken areas. Still, rainfall totals may vary widely depending on local conditions. Energy analysts are already keeping an eye on this transition period. The early season heat has increased power demand nationwide, particularly for air conditioning in major metropolitan areas. Once cooler weather arrives, demand will ease, but this extreme variability poses challenges for energy planning and resource management. From an agricultural standpoint, the prolonged warmth could accelerate late-season crop maturity but may also stress livestock and delay planting for winter wheat in some areas. Agricultural experts advise farmers to monitor soil moisture and consider irrigation where possible. In summary, this week's weather across the United States and the Atlantic Basin tells a story of contrast and transition. On one side, record-breaking heat is dominating much of the mainland. On the other, the tropics remain active with storms that continue to develop and fade in quick succession. The combination of these factors makes October 2025 one of the most unpredictable months in recent memory, a reminder of how interconnected our atmosphere truly is. Before we close tonight's broadcast, let's recap the key points. A major heat wave continues to expand across the central and eastern U.S., with highs 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Two tropical systems, Imelda and Umberto, are moving away from the mainland but remain powerful over open waters. Two new tropical disturbances are emerging off Africa and could develop in the coming days. Drought and wildfire concerns persist across the Midwest and South. Relief is possible next week as a strong cold front moves eastward, bringing cooler air and some rain. As always, we'll keep tracking every development and bring you updates as they come in. Please remember to stay informed, stay safe, and take care of one another during this extreme weather stretch. Thank you for watching Global Weather Watch. I'm your host, and we'll see you again very soon with the latest updates on global weather conditions.